Ted Bundy, a name that evokes fear and fascination. One of the most notorious criminals in history, Bundy is known for his heinous crimes, deceptive charisma, and ability to evade justice. In this video, we'll explore the life of Ted Bundy, from his beginnings to his capture and execution. Make sure to subscribe and hit the bell to never miss out on more content like this. Let's delve into the dark mind of this infamous criminal. Ted Bundy was born on November 24, 1946, in Burlington, Vermont. From the beginning, his life was marked by secrets and lies. He was raised believing that his mother was his sister and his grandparents were his parents, a deception that left a deep mark on his psyche. This type of family deception was not uncommon at the time, but in Bundy's case, there is speculation that it may have contributed to the formation of his complex personality. From an early age, Bundy showed signs of being different. He was a shy and withdrawn child, but also very intelligent. However, there was something disturbing about his behavior. He was often seen lurking around the house with a cold and distant demeanor. His classmates described him as a loner and reserved, and although he sometimes tried to fit in, his interactions were often awkward or forced. During his teenage years, Bundy began to show a growing interest in the darker aspects of human life. He developed a fascination with violence and control, interests that he often hid under a veneer of normality. Despite these disturbing signs, Bundy was known for his charismatic appearance and ability to charm those around him, something he would use to his advantage in later years. At school, Bundy did not always excel academically, but he was cunning and knew how to manipulate people to get what he wanted. It was in these formative years that Bundy began to hone his social skills, using his physical attractiveness and charm to mask his true intentions. After high school, Bundy attended the University of Puget Sound and later transferred to the University of Washington to study psychology. During this time, Bundy was in a relationship with a young woman whom he would later identify as the woman of his dreams. However, this relationship ended abruptly, and some believe that this breakup was a catalyst for his later crimes. Following the breakup, Bundy became obsessed with his ex-girlfriend's image, which influenced his selection of many of his future victims, who shared similar physical characteristics. Throughout his college years, Bundy began honing his skills in manipulation and deception. He worked several jobs, including one at a helpline for victims of violence, where he ironically advised people on how to stay safe. This double life allowed him to practice his deception and learn more about how the criminal mind operated. During this period, Bundy also began committing petty crimes, such as petty theft, which provided him with a way to satisfy his need for control and power. These crimes, while insignificant at first, soon evolved into much darker acts. Bundy perfected his technique of attraction, posing as a needy figure, often feigning injuries or disabilities to attract the sympathy of his victims. Between 1974 and 1978, Bundy went on a crime spree across several U.S. states, including Washington, Oregon, Utah, Colorado, and Florida. During this time, Bundy used a variety of tricks to lure his victims, from impersonating a police officer to asking for help loading items into his car. One of his most effective tactics was to use his attractiveness and charisma to gain the trust of women. Many of his victims were last seen helping a man with an arm in a sling or a leg in a cast. Bundy took advantage of his victims' empathy to gain control over them, which facilitated his crimes. What made Bundy particularly dangerous was his ability to change his appearance and behavior, which allowed him to evade authorities for years. In addition, Bundy was extremely organized and meticulous, which made it difficult for police to track his movements. Bundy always carried items that he used to gain the trust of his victims, such as fake crutches, casts, or police IDs. These meticulously planned details demonstrated his obsession with perfection and absolute control. In 1975, Bundy was arrested for the first time in Utah after attempting to escape a traffic stop. During the inspection of his vehicle, police found several suspicious objects, including ropes and handcuffs, leading to his arrest. However, due to the lack of direct evidence, Bundy was soon released, allowing him to continue his crimes. In 1978, Bundy was finally captured after an intense manhunt. He had escaped from prison twice and committed more crimes during his escapes, which increased his notoriety and the urgency of the authorities to capture him. The final capture occurred in Florida, where Bundy was arrested after being identified by his stolen car. The Bundy trials were unprecedented media spectacles. Bundy chose to represent himself in court, using his charisma and knowledge of the law to attempt to manipulate the judicial process. However, his arrogant demeanor and lack of respect for the court only served to seal his fate. During the trials, Bundy often addressed the cameras directly, seeking attention and sympathy from the public. Bundy's trial was one of the first to be nationally televised, helping to cement his image in popular culture. Despite Bundy's efforts to delay his conviction, the evidence against him was overwhelming. It included witness testimony, physical evidence, and eventually his own confessions. Bundy was sentenced to death for the crimes committed in Florida, although authorities in other states were also seeking him for his crimes. The sentence reflected not only the severity of his crimes, but also the determination of the judicial system to finally stop his rampage of terror. During his time on death row, Bundy gave several interviews in which he discussed his crimes and personal life, although always in a controlled and manipulative manner. He often used these interviews to try to justify his actions, attributing them to his addiction to violence and exposure to explicit materials from an early age. However, many experts believe that these were just excuses and that Bundy simply enjoyed the power and control that his crimes gave him. During his time in prison, Bundy attempted to prolong his life by offering details about his crimes in exchange for stays of execution. However, his information was often vague or inaccurate, leading many to believe that Bundy was playing along with authorities until the very end. On January 24, 1989, Ted Bundy was executed in the electric chair at Florida State Prison. Outside the prison, crowds gathered to celebrate the end of one of the most notorious criminals in modern history. For many, his execution represented not only justice for his victims, but also a necessary closure to years of fear and anguish. Even in his final moments, Bundy tried to remain in control, refusing to make a final statement and staring blankly at the cameras that captured it all. The story of Ted Bundy is a reminder of how evil can hide behind a facade of normality and charm. Throughout his life, Bundy manipulated and deceived everyone around him, taking advantage of his good looks and intelligence to evade justice for years. Today, his name remains synonymous with cruelty and extreme manipulation, and his legacy has been analyzed and debated by psychologists, criminologists, and the general public. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more of the most shocking criminal cases in history, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss any updates. Thank you for joining us on this journey into the mind of one of the most infamous criminals in history. Remember to subscribe and leave us a comment on what other case you would like us to explore. See you in the next video.